are very much aware of how strong she can potentially be.
Well, our next game coming up is going to be Hookahs versus HEET. So let's take a quick look at Hookahs and see exactly what HEET have to be coming up against. We've actually seen these two teams come up against each other once before in the promotional tournament, but this will be the first time they're facing each other in the group stage. Hookahs did lose that game 2-0, but it's their time to redeem themselves.
Yeah, I mean, the 2-0, it's not quite the story of the scoreline. It was a very close match. HEET took bind 13-9, then it was moved on to Icebox, and they took it 13-7. But it's definitely not the steamroll of 2-13, or even worse, 13-0. We talked about this, right? Hookahs were a very strong-looking team. They've got the majority of their roster coming through from Split 1, barring the one player. Sunshine has been picked up, but you still have a lot of synergy coming on through, and that was something that was extremely important when we saw the previous matchup. Excel looking extremely strong, being able to use crossfires, being able to trust on the other teammates to have their back, was really ultimately what won them a lot of those rounds. And Hookahs, sitting at a 2-0 at the moment in terms of that win rate, can pull into the same strategy.
Well, Mishu, Akimbo, Masked, David, and Sunshine are the players that will make up the only team that is still flawless 3 weeks into the tournament. We're going to see if they can keep up that streak. Well, I mean, I don't want to, lessen the kind of achievement that they've had so far, but they haven't really been playing up against any of the teams that we've really considered to be like these really big names coming into this, Finest, XL, Cova, any of this. They have come up against H2O, and I can't remember what the other team was.
Alliance.
Alliance, exactly, who, as we've seen recently, I mean, 0 and 3 currently, so, exactly how good Hookahs are, we haven't quite seen yet, so we'll be able to see exactly what this is. I would say HEET is probably the best team you can come up with as a kind of baseline for, like, how you're going to perform going into this tournament. HEET very much kind of in the middle of the pack, and so far we're yet to see anything incredible from them, but we have not seen them, at the bottom end of the group so far, so we're expecting to see good things from both of these teams, which is why I think this will be a great series. Here is HEET, some of their highlights over the past few games.
Yeah, HEET coming in, throwing a lot of curveballs in terms of their compositions as well, right? King's been running a lot of the Yoru, which we've already seen. Both he and Kix running it to absolutely deadly effect. But not only that, Monstrum was the first of the entire region to be able to pick up into that fade, something that threw Cova for a loop. And I think HEET being able to come in and really not quite throw off your opponents in terms of counter maps, but also in thinking about how you can actually aggress into these compositions that you haven't really scrimmed and prepared for. The fact that now you're not watching for the setups, the fade is going to be playing a lot closer to the home, means a lot more outwards aggression and a lot more utility burnout at the start of these rounds.
You'll recognize a lot of these names if you've been watching a lot of competitive Valorant. Monstrum and Waddle obviously have been together before. REMOY and KILLJOY make up the rest of HEET, but Eccles is the new player for this stage. You'll remember him from VCT if you've watched in 2 continents, because he played for Team Liquid back in the day, and he has played for Team 100 Thieves over in NA just before this.
Yeah, ninjas in pajamas as well, so this guy has a whole wealth of experience in terms of those pro teams. He is on paper signed on the 9th of May. His first match officially, quote unquote, with the team was on the 12th. However, he has been a stand-in for the team since April of this year, so they already have had time to integrate him into the composition, make sure that he's up in terms of the strategies, the way that they like to position themselves, building into that crossfire and synergy. That really does matter. You can have a lot of mechanical prowess to your name, but if you're not really able to integrate into the team, well, you're not able to pull a lot of wins in your way.
Well, this is definitely an exciting team on paper, and we're about to see really how they're going to be able to perform against this team. They've had a bit of on and off so far this season. We're not one of the teams that we're expecting to breeze their way through the group stage, so we'll be able to see exactly how they're going to perform against, so far, one of the 2 teams that got through the 2 first weeks completely flawlessly, so we'll exactly see. I mean, this is one of these kind of ones. Somehow we've got to the 3rd week, and this is kind of an unknown game in terms of who's going to win this one. I would say HEET definitely have just about the upper hand in terms of we've seen them play against much tougher opponents so far than Hookahs, so definitely there is that kind of expectation for them to be a better team coming into this one, but I think Hookahs are still kind of, we haven't really seen the best of them so far, and I do think that they can bring out something quite impressive.
Yeah, you pointed it out correctly, right? Hookahs, when it came to that week 1 and 2 bracket, they were able to go up against slightly easier teams. Heat, on the other hand, got thrown Cova and Finest. They were able to win against Cova, but Finest was where they met their match. They were able to take the first map, but in traditional fashion to how we've seen Finest play, it does tend to be the reverse sweep coming through until yesterday. Cova were able to break that one, and I think it really is going to be the true test for both of these teams to see who's able to secure that top 4 spot.
Yeah, I mean, if Hookahs win this game, they will have gone 3 weeks without being beaten by a single team, and I think that will really cement their play, so I'm sure the fans would love to see a bit of Hookahs right on top of that one, and being able to flawlessly go through your first 3 weeks, that gives you a really nice route into the playoffs there, because, if you're the only team that's been able to do that, you set yourselves apart from everybody immediately, and you give yourselves that springboard to work off of. It can build that confidence, it can build that ability to play further into the tournament, and just be that kind of name that everybody's coming up against. It's like, oh no, we're coming up against the flawless team, we're coming up against Hookahs coming into this one, guys, get ready for it. And there's that kind of little bit of fear that comes into it when you are playing against a team that is right up at the top, because most of the teams right now are 2-1.
Yeah, but Twiggy, today we're going to answer the question. It's really important. It's always been in the back of my mind since this matchup is about to start. Can we burn cars?
Can we? I mean, Kremer put up a good point on Twitter that it would smell terrible, so maybe you don't want to do it, Heat. But here we go. We'll see. Will the Heat burn the cars? They're definitely flammable. I would say a car is flammable. I've seen cars on fire before. I'm sure, Richard Hammond would have a thing or two to say about that, as well as many other drivers. You look at F1, there's lots of cars on fire over there, so actually not recently. It's very safe now. But, it's a thing. It's a precautional hazard when you're in a car. You don't want it to fall on fire, so maybe coming up against Heat, this is going to be their Achilles heel.
I mean, you talk about Richard Hammond in cars. Does a caravan count as a car?
I mean, it's an automobile. In a way, they're synonymous. I don't know if you would want to call a caravan a car. You usually have a caravan with a car, so maybe it's an extension of a car, if not. But anyway, we're going to be held to head into our veto very quickly before we dig ourselves into a tangential hole here. So let's take a look at exactly what these teams are going to pick. What do you think is going to be going down with this map veto?
Well, I mean, I can imagine that Heat are going to try and take us into Breeze, and oh, hey, look, there's not quite that insta-pick, but it is still left on the table for both of these teams. Ascent is what they decided to take us instantly to, making sure to ban out Fracture and Split. No surprises on the first, it was one of their bans when they were up against Finest. Hookahs, on the other hand, do not want anywhere near Haven. That free site can play havoc with that defense.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a very interesting one. Once again, Ascent is one of these maps that is very, very liked in Europe. I think it has been for quite a while. Bind actually used to be the kind of European map that everybody was incredibly good at. And, you went into VCT at international stage and everybody was scared to come up against the European teams on Bind. It's definitely Ascent now where I fear a lot of these teams are, kind of building up all their strats for. So I'm expecting to see a very intensely fought battle here on Ascent to start things off. And then obviously Bind and Breeze, Heat likes Breeze, so the fact that it got selected by Decider is they're quite happy with it. But yeah. You're right, they don't really like Fracture, they don't really, to be honest, both teams are probably relatively happy with these maps.
I'm not sure if Hookahs are extremely happy in the fact that they're going to Ascent first, because that was the map where Monstrum ran out on Fade. The thing is, it is on tape, it is in VOD. So Hookahs will have done their homework, they will see the Ascent pick coming through, the expectation is now surely in place that there is a very real potential that 100% Fade gameplay time of today will continue, and they're going to have to figure out how exactly they want to counter it.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Again, we really didn't see any of Fade before this. It was yesterday we saw our second usage of Fade by, what was it, Ale? We saw that second usage of Fade from, and we really didn't see anything before that. We've seen it all over the place in the rest of the European leagues, but we just really haven't seen it so much here in Polaris. It's really starting to become a thing. We did talk very briefly about it in the interview prior to heading over to the break before this game, about how kind of, they wanted to play that Fade. Mo wanted to play that Fade on XL, and he really just was developing strats for this one. And he basically was like, there was no reason not to. Sova is not as good as Fade right now, and maybe, yeah, it's a comfort pick, but at this time, you come up with these things as soon as you have those lineups ready, and as soon as you have those strats available, these guys want to do it. And it is interesting that they've taken their time to do it rather than shoehorning it in. I do think that's a really good sign that these teams definitely want to build the strats before they start throwing in a new agent. So that's a very positive sign, I would say, coming into this one, and it's working so far. I'm pretty sure most of the time Fade has been played, it has been won. Obviously, Alliance just played. That was our first loss that we've seen with Fade so far in Polaris.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting as well. You definitely feel like that time is definitely something to do with it, right? In the interview that we had yesterday with one of the players, they admitted she's very strong. She's definitely the potential to be that meta pick. We've been seeing in VCT, Fade getting picked and picked up in terms of replacing that Sova. And I think now that teams have had a lot longer to be able to really try and integrate her into it and work out those setups, because it is really powerful. If you can manage to land some of those setups that we were seeing earlier today, where the Hunt was able to come through onto that A site from rafters, immediately picking up all of those players trapped in hell, making sure that you don't have to drop down from rafters. 50-50, shoot one of those corners, hope that you're able to pick out the player in time, then check the other corner while still being alive. It is absolutely monumental in the amount of impact that it can have for a defender going into that retake position.
Yeah, well, we're about to head into the game here. The agent selects coming through. We'll be able to see if there's more Fade, and there is. Monstrum once again is going to be picking that Fade here on Ascent, so we're going to get to see a little bit more of that. But apart from that, very, very standard comps coming through. Both teams want that Sova on play. Sunshine is going to be able to bring out a KO instead of the Fade for Hookahs.
Yeah, Hookahs as well, not running the Omen, actually going to be opting into the controller of the Astra. Masked going to be picking that one up. It can be extremely strong, the fact that you don't know what utility the stars are going to turn into, so even if the Fade is trying to get a lot of information for the rest of the team, Hookahs should be able to play a little bit of diversion tactics. However, that plan is stunted in the fact that he are running Waddle on Sova as well as REMOY on the KILLJOY instead of the Chamber. This is an absolutely heaps with information composition gonna be coming out from HEET. It's going to be so hard to try and slip a fake past this team.
Yeah, well, we're going to see exactly how this works out for the Monstrum. Last time he played this did not quite, it was against Finest they brought this one out, right? They brought out the, oh no, Fade was not played against Finest. Yeah, no, exactly, it was Kova. The second time they went over into Ascent is when they brought out that Fade, and it went from losing them the map to winning them the map. So who's to judge what that is for them? Maybe Monstrum has figured out exactly how to play Fade perfectly, because they have played Ascent in every single one of their matchups so far. They definitely like this map. Misha is waiting for them to come around this corner, and that shock dart is going to hit too. They're going to need a little more than that to stop HEET from getting into sight, though. HEET getting all the way in. Masked, just waiting, biding their time. Looks like they want to go for a 5v5 retake.
Yeah, King caught in the grab well, but there's no follow-through. And they've still got themselves onto the site. They've still got players up in, down in hell, rather, so that Hookahs have to just wait to be able to peek out from tree if they want to be able to try and take this retake. And that's buying HEET so much time to get these positions absolutely spot on perfect. If you try and walk through doors, Monstrum's going to be able to pick you out. If you try and fall from rafters, the players in hell are going to be there. But it is going to be Hookahs with the better utility, since they haven't had to brute force their way onto the site. They can flash, they can stun, they can smoke, and HEET are blanketed out.
Yeah, I do love seeing a nice kind of, defense backing up and then waiting and then retaking as a whole team. It is always so awesome to see when a team just comes in full force and then just sweeps the whole site like that. Incredibly well done from Hookahs, and it was some unfortunate positioning from Monstrum, right, kind of half in the smoke, half out the smoke, that didn't allow him to see the entry there from David, but You know, Hukar's coming away with the pistol round very convincingly. The plant will allow Heat a little bit more money, which will get them probably a lot closer to a 4-buy in next round without having to do too much damage, but they definitely want to get rid of some of those Spectres.
Yeah, it's definitely as well an adaptation to the composition that Heat are running with. If you have a lot of information that's focused on probing and figuring out where Hukars are playing from, just play extremely far away so that Heat have to exhaust a lot of those Sentinels' utilities in trying to see whether or not you're fully playing for retake or whether it's that 50-50 commitment. And it's more of a bait set play. You make the space seem available, then you pop out and stop the spike from going down and place the site that way. Because Heat already going to be lacking one player, REMOY down. There's the site, they think it's open, but again, it is that bait and switch. You try and move on to the A side, it's the same grab well, and this time there is capitalization. Sunshine there with the Spectre able to spray through. And Heat reduced to only Monstrum.
Yeah, they lost their first player, their Lurk, over towards B, but Hukars did not reposition themselves whatsoever from the Lurk. Monstrum managing to find Sunshine's head through his teammate's body. We'll get a kill there. But yeah, I mean, that was just a quick finish there from Hukars, and that casualty is unfortunately going to mean that one player has to spend money. You know, when you lose 1 or 2 on the bonus, it kind of forces them to buy a rifle, which can lose you a bit of money. It can stagger your economy, but I think they're probably happy to. Maybe Sunshine won't even buy a rifle here. I think maybe happy to just maybe just go for the ult. I think he might try and go for the ult and try and just assist his team here.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
no,
think
there we go, Spectre. Oh,
well.
there it is, going to try and go for the ult. Wow.
Yeah, he's going to try and get a little bit of an early pick. You can see the gold sidelines showing that the rendezvous is going to be up if you do get pressured. But Heat, I think, are lacking pressure at the moment, right? They've got a lot of information with these Sentinels. What they don't have is flashes or entrances. And King on the Raze can try and move into these sites and create a lot of space, but you're not the Jet. You can't dash or updraft your way through these grab wells, and it's something that now twice in a row Hukars have been able to use to just entirely slow down any push Heat have tried to make onto the A side. And when they're trying to get out of these fights because they don't have something like a breach to throw down a fault line or a flashpoint to buy you time to get around these corners still alive, Hukars are actually able to cheat. They've got Sunshine with the KO, the flash drive. Heat are going to be relying on a paranoia from Eccles to be able to counteract that, and it's not always there, it's not always connecting.
Hukars playing this slowly as well as Heat. You don't want to give up any of those rifles. There's always that inherent risk. Yeah, if we lose one of those rifles, they pick it up, it can snowball very quickly. And also, just we don't want to lose that going into next round, but they will lose at least one. King Uyen is going to be taken down by Akimbo at close range. Can he get any more than that one? Not quite. Eccles is quicker with the headshot. It's now Hukars that have to retake this. In a 4v4, they really waited. They really took their time getting that spike down, and that actually allows David to just get in and stop the spike plant from happening. They will get it in the end, but a lot of casualties so far for Heat. Okay, coming away with 2. So they lose 2 rifles. Could have gone a lot worse.
Yeah, nice terror trail as well, tagging up all of the players on rafters so that Heat know when it's safe to go for the spike plant and when they just need to spray as those players fall from rafters onto the site. And it's a round that Heat needed. It does mean that they can buy into the rifles to go toe-to-toe with Hukars in terms of that economy. But once again, it's going to be that same problem. Are you going to have to wait 19 seconds, 30 seconds until all that's left is there in the round and you just sprint onto a site without these flashes? Or can you pick apart Hukars' defense a little bit earlier on in the round? David says no. Nanos one very early going to be coming out to see if that chamber has pushed a little bit too far forward, try and push out that hold in main, force out the rendezvous, and by holding a little bit further away, sees the shoulder, gets the pick, and finds the second as well.
I mean, that is the less time on the Algdrone coming into play massively there. They used that Algdrone to clear B main. Didn't quite make it far enough around the corner that it saw the Heat player waiting around there. They kind of pushed into that one a little too aggressively. Now Heat have a completely open B site, only one player towards market. But Hukars are going to be hard pressed to come back into this round. I mean, they can do it. What is this? Eccles is in insane location. Sunshine has no reason to check there. Eccles comes away with a kill. I'm not surprised whatsoever. Really, what kind of brain does it take to hold that side of stairs when your team is taking B?
You know, I've seen that play on Twitter. I can't remember who it was by, but I remember seeing it and thinking, I don't want to run into that.
Yeah, that's just like insane enough that it works perfectly, you know? It's like, why would you ever do that? You can't really help your team unless somebody's coming through your own spawn and you catch them on the way into B main. But Eccles is just going to go ham. He's proven exactly how good he is on several teams already, and on HEET he is no different.
And Akimba's just saving at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I would at this point as well. Eccles has completely been territorial over mid, and you don't want to go anywhere near that.
Yeah, and do you know what's going to happen? We've seen it on Twitter, we've seen it now. Every single person in this audience is just going to methodically clear stairs.
Yeah, check every corner.
It's going to be popping up in your games too now. That's a little bit overpowered, as HEET able to equalize 2-2. Hookahs, they've still got one Vandal. Akimbo was able to keep it safe, but that's really the only weapon they're going to have outside of this tour de force. The Prowler's forcing the rendezvous very early on. Nightfall's going to be coming out to make sure that HEET can take advantage before a player can fall back in to replace that chamber gone. And there's the satchel pack coming out from King Yuan, going to try and clear backside, but Mishu with the Sheriff's able to be a little bit faster.
Oh, David dying with the tour de force is so impactful for Hookahs. That makes it so much more difficult to win this round out. They really could have anchored that site well. And it's just down to the Sheriffs now, and HEET will finish things out. There's a really nice attempt at the defense there. Mishu getting that first pick was brilliant. If David just got that first one on lane, probably could have slowed HEET down enough that Hookahs had a chance to retake. But oh well, you know, cut your losses. You have a rifle round coming up.
You were also able to pull out Nightfall on a round where you were going for essentially the full eco outside of that tour de force, and it doesn't cost you anything other than an ultimate, so an ultimate for an ultimate. Now HEET have lost one of their main pushing powers in a composition where they don't have a whole lot of initiation. Hookahs are honestly counting that a success.
Kimbo trying to repeat the success of the second round here by holding down that A site, making sure nobody gets through. You can see just that, you know, zoning power of the Rays as the paint shells go out. HEET are going to be kept back at the very least. They try and clear wine there just to make sure nobody's around. Always a good idea to clear wine. Just like Hookahs are now going to be clearing stairs every single round. David, first to do it. And gets shot a few times and gets out of that rendezvous. Incredibly powerful. Just being able to get information more than anything else. Chamber is just this all-around kind of agent where not only are you a sentinel, you also have a free operator every few rounds. You can get information by teleporting out of places.
Oh, hello. That's a nasty fake lockdown, and they're gonna throw a lineup of the Nano Swarm as well to really try and sell the fact that they're pushing onto the A. And look at Hookahs. They've started to realize, okay, the lockdown came through, but neither did the players. And there's still a chamber. David's still on the B side, not able to find the picks, but so too is Mishu from side spawn, gonna be able to pick out 3. HEET reduced to 2 players, still haven't been able to get the spike planted in the ground, have to go back to collect it and then run down lane. And it's just Sunshine, does have the null command, does have 2 flash drives, can try to flash the entrances. The players are separated, you can go for the 1 versus 1s. Here's the player planting the spike, manages not to hit the shots until now. Eccles is down, Zerk, the null command, gonna try and pick out the Killjoy's location, but REMOY still able to win the fight. And HEET, they threw so much into it. That was a round they needed to win with that commitment of the lockdown just by the skin of their teeth. The Killjoy able to win it out for them in the end.
It's tragic. Mishu does so much work. Gets traded out, but he got 3 kills, and then HEET just kind of claw back any piece of this round they can get. Sunshine trying to do so much, but just a little bit of over-peaking that loses him his life. And yeah, HEET, I mean, can I say they deserve to win that round? Yes, it was good strategical play, but Mishu deserved more than that. Come on, Mishu deserved more.
I mean, like, some teams just fake with the lockdown. I love the fact that they put the nano swarm as well to really try and push Hookahs into the sense of, okay, maybe it is actually because they're committing utility as well as the ultimate. We have seen fake lockdowns on that A site before. But now Hookahs starting to try and get a little bit of mid control. It isn't eco. However, the headhunter is there. David gonna be forced to rendezvous out. Sees the owl drone. Does not want to be sticking around. Has been able to retreat back into market and is looking extremely juicy. There's a reason though that Heat aren't really wanting to push, and that's because Sunshine is still making sure that no one makes it up past Pizza.
Yep. The cars are doing a good job of, at the very least, just keeping back Heat and not giving away too much. Information-wise, you know, positional-wise, and not giving Heat more than they need in this round. Heat do have that weapon advantage. Oh, it doesn't matter for David! 2 headshots and he gets out of there with no damage taken whatsoever. Who needs a weapon when you got the headhunter? And aim like that. Masked is good with the Sheriff as well, and this round is turning all the way through! Don't tell me it's going to be a flawless, it's not. Waddle is able to get Masked, but with 12 seconds left, there's not much chance of getting this spike down, especially with Mishu just holding it down and playing time. Look at how controlled he is, sitting in Boathouse, not letting him get the plant down. No chance whatsoever. No, there was no time, no matter what. Gets a kill, but I mean, that's successful.
But no, it is a very successful round for Hookahs, as it all starts with King Yuan actually getting suppressed. The 0 point comes through. David knows you can just hold rafters. Heat, without an initiator, aren't going to be able to flash or use a fault line to send it up into rafters to dislodge that chamber. And like, he just gets to hold. Sees one, gets the second immediately after. Oh.
It's like one of those videos a YouTuber makes where they just zoom in on things moving across the screen and like the tracking. Oh my god, okay, things are going very quickly. We're spending too much time focusing on incredible replay ops and not enough time focusing on the strategies of each team. It's now gone back to this stalemate of both teams. They have their rifles out. They have ults, both teams as well.
Heat are being very nice and accommodating. They're like, oh, you want a little bit more time to talk about that strategy? Okay, we'll slow things down. And it's really playing with Hookahs as well. They don't know whether this team is going to go aggressive, whether it's going to be a little bit of opening probing. Oh, no showstopper for you!
Well, that was... okay, can't use it. Goodbye. That's the true -8. I don't care about missing it. If you just get rid of the ult, suppress that out, no chance. David holding down mid, making sure they can't get into market. Recon Dart is going to give away their locations, but it doesn't matter. He can't really go anywhere right now. You got Mishu holding down B main. They haven't found any success in mid so far, and in fact they've got burned for what they wanted to do, and they didn't get far in A whatsoever either. They got their ult taken away from them that they were trying to use to get into the site. They never got even close.
Yeah, remember not having that breach of the sky. REMOY still able to find a pick onto David though. Chamber dislodged. But Mishu has been able to sit backside. They're expecting a little bit more pressure onto that B side. REMOY is able to find the Sova, but the spike isn't there, and now with 7 seconds left, all REMOY can do is try and find another player, another weapon to remove from Hookahs, but Akimbo will cancel that one out. Hookahs tie things up 4-4 as Heat are forced to think again as we see the lockdown, the Hunter's Fury, they're there. Unfortunately, so too is Sunshine. Gonna be sitting on that KO, going to be that with those pesky 0 points to connect onto a player and cancel things out. And if Heat lose those ultimates, once again, they're gonna have to ask themselves, just how do we press W? How do we get onto these sites without those flashes, without those stunts?
Yeah, Hookahs have really found an answer to everything so far. It's, you know, taken them around every time, it seems like, to kind of catch up with Heat, but it's going well for them. 4-4. Both teams pretty much even. I mean, Hookahs just have a little better economy. They can afford to lose a round. Heat cannot particularly. But the ult economy is good for both teams. Everybody is cycling things perfectly. It seems like they both have each other's number. It's really just about who wins the gunfights at this point.
Well, it's also about how much value David can find with the ARP. If you look at the composition Heat are running, it should be a whole lot, right? No breach, no sky, no guiding light, no fault line, nothing to stop you from keeping an eye on mid so long into that round. Gets the shot onto Eccles, rendezvous out, and Heat without those stuns can't punish the chamber.
Okay. Heat. They're going to cut their losses and head straight in towards B! Oh, I thought David got that. I thought he flicked all the way across his screen. Mishu, though, he's able to pick up the pieces just a little bit, make it 3-3. Mask gets one through mid. The Hunter's Fury comes out, and Waddle can't go anywhere at all. It's just Monstrum left. He hasn't got the spike down, but he does have the spike in hand. He doesn't even want to commit to the site at this point. I don't know what's going through his head. I know what's going through Mask's head, and it is a Phantom Bullet at high velocity. Monstrum is going to head back towards the site. I guess that was it. He just wanted to clear a player before he got that spike down. No Hunter's Fury to deny it this time. There is a Showstopper available for Akimbo. The spray through the wall narrowly misses. Akimbo will finish it out. And Hookahs do take the round. It was hard fought from both teams.
Yeah, but the better question is, yeah, there we go. That's why we don't see the defuse go through just yet. Mishu had to run up to David's body and pick up the operator to get it back into the chamber's hands for the next round, because now it's written into their DNA. You cannot peek mid, you cannot peek B main without investing a smoke or a haunt to check to see whether David is going to be playing aggressive, whether they're going to be holding that angle long into the round, knowing full well you're not running the agent, you're not able to punish the chamber just holding and anchoring these spaces, as this is going to be a Heat timeout, because this is a problem for them. It's going to be a problem on the defense, it's going to be a problem on the attack as well. They have to start winning these rounds and stopping David from just being able to continuously buy into this operator.
Yeah. I want to see some vroom vroom let's go Hookahs in chat, please. You know, as usual, you know, with the cars in between everything. Hookahs are actually... Oh, here we go. Here it is again. The floaty player. Ah, I love seeing that. But yeah, he taking a timeout quite understandably. This must be frustrating. They're playing well. REMOY is getting work done all over the map. Absolutely massive. Eccles is getting on the board. They're just not quite getting rounds out of it. This would be incredibly frustrating if I was Heat right now. It'd just be like you're throwing everything, and it's like it's hitting a brick wall. It's just not going as far as you'd want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
the crumple zone of the car is quite large.
And the problem for them is, right, they've got the Hunter's Fury. If they want, they can use it very early on in the round to try and tag out David, but if you get tagged out, you're just going to TP out. And then you have to play spot the chamber Where's Wally once more. As now we're going to see Heat investing the Owl Drone, but you can see the nerf, it's not quite able to clear into market, so David just holding a little bit less aggressively in mid is going to hear all of this utility, know that you're in position, be able to come in with that operator. The crossfire going to be there as well, try and press into the rifle, the operator is going to be up. You can see the second that the Owl Drone gets destroyed, David's hackles are up, the operator continues to move forward.
Hookahs is doing a great job again of slowing down Heat as long as they can. Now 50 seconds left in the round. Suppressed, they have to back up. Akimbo uses the ult literally just to clear a main, not knowing where any player is, and out comes a couple ults, but Mishu doesn't need sound to get kills. REMOY down. Shock dart to try and find one more. Monstrum not going to get tagged up by that, and they will get the spike down in the end. More of a zoning ult than anything, I feel like, from them, and they have granted themselves just a little bit of time, but it's David who's going to clear corners. It's not quite going to get KILLJOY down, though. Holding down Pizza. He's going to use a satchel to get back into market and avoid shots like the Matrix, and he won't find the kill onto Masked. And now the army of Hookahs is going to start running through, using the Cosmic Divide to get in on that. I mean, that's some good zoning ult from Waddle. That was what I was going to say. They do find one. It's just Mask left. 1v2. He knows one player is in main. He knows one player is in Boathouse. Ooh, he won't get the half. That's heartbreaking. And Eccles will finish him out in the end. Heat make it 5-5.
So for Heat, that Cosmic Divide could have spelled absolute doom for the Hunter's Fury, not knowing where Hookahs are going to be coming from, but Monstrum thankfully is positioned up in lane, gets to see the members from Hookahs in market, so can convey the info to waddle on where to fire the ultimate as well as hold down the spray. KILLJOY playing police, making sure that David doesn't get to just move from pizza into market. It's also absolutely ginormous, and HEET can start to really pick apart Hookahs, punish the fact that one of their biggest win conditions is buying the most expensive weapon in game.
Alright, Hookahs now trying to defend B site here. They'll make their way very quickly in. KILLJOY does not want to waste any time, gets straight in on site towards Boathouse, trying to clear stuff, gets tagged up a couple times through the wall of button. But again, Hookahs playing it slowly and just going for this retake as a team. They don't really want to give away anything to HEET. They don't want to give information unnecessarily. They don't want to waste utility. They just want to, yeah, you know, if HEET are going to play quick, let's slow things down. Let's bring it back to our pace. They're going to try and make things work off the out. The outro. Let's try and find some info.
Take a look at Ackles. No one's been placing mid. Ackles can just pop out and mark it, and there's the pick onto Akimbo and Sunshine shortly after.
That's a lot of damage. Mishu taken down as well. Masked 2. HEET really brought their all into that round. That was absolutely incredible from them in every facet. One player around behind, one player sitting in Boathouse. You could see players all over the place. One in main. Just kept revealing things. Eccles came in from behind. REMOY was in a smoke getting 2 kills, because why not? Yeah, can't fault them whatsoever on that one.
Yeah, but for HEET, I feel like they really do have to take this next round to try and widen that gap, because when the side hook comes through, yes, you're not going to have an initiator, which isn't quite as big as a problem on the defense at the start of the rounds. If it does come back into that retake, then you are going to need those flashes and things like the fault line to really get you back onto the site, something that HEET are not going to have access to since you can't swap agents once this map starts.
You guys remember what happened last time Hookahs was on an eco and you pushed in towards A site? Do you want to repeat it? Are you asking for David to... Oh no, David is not at rafters this time. David is behind and that turret is not looking this direction. Can he find anything off of this? Not quite. REMOY is waiting. REMOY is ready for that. Okay, well, Hookahs, you've lost that headhunter now. But HEET playing it slow again.
Yeah, HEET wrote the textbook on flanks, okay? Ackles is like in the mind of David, is dictating to the team where that chamber is going to be popping out from, as Hookahs actually getting a little bit antsy. Not seeing pressure onto the A site, start to give up their positions. It's now going to be Mishu trying to just clear mid, make sure that no one is sneaking their way towards B. HEET, however, have been able to get up that lockdown, and now they can start to push into A. Akimbo still on the site, is able to shoot out the Haunt. The Terror Trail not going to be able to connect to them, giving away their position, but does show that they're there, and it means that they can't run away from the lockdown, will get detained, and now it's just going to be Sunshine with the Vandal up in rafters. 12 seconds left, but HEET are still able to get the spike planted, not able to get players into hell though. Sunshine still not able to win the duel, and HEET will take round 7-5.
Yeah, it's not a round we expected Hookahs to win, so it's not surprising that they do lose out in that way, but you do get the feeling that they wanted a lot more out of that half at the very least. They didn't do badly whatsoever. I mean, Ascent is one of these maps. You're either a defensive team or an aggressive team, I feel like, on this map. You definitely have to pick one and try and go down that route, and I feel like both of them were kind of hitting each other in that way. They were butting heads perfectly, and you could see the way it just kind of went back and forth as economy, you know, kind of rose and fell between the two. And I really can't get anything to separate these two teams whatsoever. I mean, even when either team won a round, they were losing numbers every time. I don't think there was a round where people really, you know, like an even economy round where either team left the round with more than 3 players. So, yeah, this is just such a close game. If there's a repeat of that half, I don't know if my heart can take it.
HEET being very slow, the opposite of Hookahs when this series began. Gonna be just sitting back waiting for the attacking side to reveal themselves, something that they don't really need to do with a composition with this much information gathering abilities. There's the season, there's the rendezvous out of it. You think you can get a hold of a chamber? He's a slippery eel. He's just gonna TP right out, and that's a wasted ability. As now all of that information that Heat were hoping to gather, it's now on David's head. The two cars can push onto A, knowing the majority of the players are stacked onto B.
Well, there's that slim angle from Garden that you can shoot straight into B main, or A main, sorry, and get just kills through the roof, even when you're through smoke. Might as well. And they do manage to get one with it. Another one as they enter site too. Must, luckily, is going to be... Oh god, please don't turn back around while these guys are flanking. Please check it again. Okay, I think ready to check it again, but oh, the Prowler is great, and so is the... Oh, that's beautiful. That's so well played from all of them. Eccles just waiting in the sidelines to make sure that Heat can get all the way through, and Heat take the round almost flawlessly. It's just well played. No matter what, they seem to have a plan.
Yeah, the paranoia is placed absolutely perfectly. Of course it is, because you have the information of where Mask is playing from given to you by the rest of the team. They're able to connect onto the Astra. There's nothing that you can do to escape that one. And Heat are able to take the second pistols round and widen the distance between them. Hookahs really want to be able to start putting this chamber into position once again. Do what they did on the defense. Take these distance fights, punish the fact that Heat do not really have shutdown abilities. They are going to be lacking the smokes when the dark cover runs out. They are going to be lacking those flashes when the paranoia has been invested. So David, if you're able to get a Marshal, an Operator, or a Tour de Force, is going to be in prime position to find the picks, but it's the frenzy that you still have to fit.
Okay, I mean, Hookah's taking damage already, but Eccles being taken down. I mean, every time you lose one player on this kind of round, you start to really question how much more space can we give them. Hookah's back up. Don't really want to take anything more than that, but they keep mid-control. Mishu, at the very least, is just trying to hold on to that one. It is very important. If you do want to keep your rounds open and keep things fluid, the Monstrum is going to peek off the back of that owl drone, not knowing that Mishu will be around this corner, but just holding that corner down and hoping, beyond all hope, that he can get that kill, and he will be able to find the kill. Waddle also taking one down at A main, just holding that down with the Ares here, and I mean, you can't get past that, surely.
Long distance gunfight tactics. Hookah's own strategy turned against them. It's gonna be so hard. And you can see they're just like pushing each other, like you peek first, no, you peek first. They've been able to shoulder one rush, but that is gonna be very short-lived. As Heat once again take another round, start to really settle into rhythm. But this is the round that we need to see Hookahs be able to take, right? They were coming up against far better weaponry. They were coming up against distance with abilities where they were just not able to bat back with smokes and flashes of their own with the players who were taken out a little bit too early on into the round to be able to properly formulate a push onto that A side. Now we have to see them coming in for the first blood, because it feels like every single time Heat's found a pick, yes, it's been traded out immediately, but it's always been a little bit more impactful than the one that Hookahs finds.
We really have to track the Boombot getting absolutely brutalized on its way through. Oh, speaking of brutalized, Heat just completely take down two members of Hookahs on their full buy round. That's not an encouraging start for these guys. The bonus rate for Heat so far, and well, David hasn't really taken much space to note here, so when they back up, they don't really have anywhere to go. They have no place to call home here on Ascent rather than their own spawn, and Heat nicely spread across the map still.
Yeah, Hookah's really trying to get information to see if Heat are going to be pushing out, trying to find these stragglers of the players, but Heat not falling for it. Monstrum's going to take a far longer rotation, not going for a mid, but wrapping around defender spawn, but Hookahs, because they haven't been able to move forward, they can't punish the fact that it's taken this long for the Fade to be able to get into position. Recon Bolt's gonna be able to come through, gets a little bit of that information, but immediately it's gonna trigger the Haunt coming out from Monstrum to try and pick out Hookahs in the smoke.
Ooh, that shock dart just about misses everybody, and Mishu's going to take advantage of that massively here. Now it's a 3v3, and Hookahs have wrested back control from Heat. They have enough time to get that spike down, and there are no weapons on the side of Heat that can actually wallbang that, so there's not much really you can do. They need to take this back, and although Hookahs might not be in great positions here, and nowhere to go. They just had to get that spike down as quick as possible. Heat, it's going to be a difficult task to retake this either way with the weaponry they have. They're going to move in and just get completely shafted there. Mast taking 2 headshots. Mishu doesn't let anybody else through. I think that's another clotheslined moment.
And it was a round that Hookahs needed to win for their economy to really be able to start to recover and move into the position where surely Hookahs are trying to push it desperately. Let us have enough money to comfortably buy the operator in these rounds. As you can see, once again, Heat, if they're sidelined, if Hookahs are able to start to move into a space that he cannot just continuously cycle through smokes and use nano swarms to delay the push, they will get overwhelmed. You can tell that they are really suffering, lacking that initiator role, as Eccles gonna be holding a little bit more aggressively than we've seen in the past. Monstrum gonna be very close behind. So if the Omen is pressured, you can provide a helping hand or even a holding hand with that C's ability to make sure that you can find the trade.
Cute. It puts a really positive spin on what is essentially a terrifying ability. Yeah. It's like, oh, I'm just holding your hand with this tentacle from the, like,
Eldritch
hell realm.
gods.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I came straight out of hell to hold your hand and walk you to school. Okay.
Like, Monstrum's just a warlock who struck a deal with a beholder.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was a nice little trade there. 2 players now, on one on either team, down to 5 HP. Eccles is going to use the opportunity to get some information.
Oh.
Took a look at B main. Didn't find anybody. Hookah's definitely here. But, luckily, with their Cosmic Divide, they can get a little bit of space. Sunshine pop flashes at the same time. Kinguyan throws down a paint grenade and gets absolutely blown to smithereens there. Kinguyan doing even more work, and the Cosmic Divide goes away, which leaves 2 players of Hookahs. Oh, Mast almost just pulled the impossible out. Yeah, but it is Heat who walk away with that round, and it did just look like they were in control that whole time.
So, Toogie, you remember that ability when Fade first released, when we were going through all of the interactions, and we found that C's could go through Cosmic Divide?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it nipped right through Cosmic Divide and tethered Hookahs. So that when it starts to go up, they can't really move their players forward. It even actually means that Kingyuan's able to find a paint shell pick onto Hookahs, and it is going to be a timeout from the attacking team because that was a round that they invested heavily, not just in terms of economy, but in terms of ultimates as well. And once more, that pesky Fade is just there popping up with those unique interactions that you really don't expect. Using that Seize, that Tether, in the same vein we would see someone like a Breach or a Brimstone throw in their ultimate to just pull all momentum out from a push.
Yeah. Hookahs taking a timeout here. They really haven't got their foot, like any kind of foothold in this half so far. They had a great round when they were on even economy. Actually, no, they weren't on even economy. Sorry, they were on much better economy. That's why they won that round in the end to make it 6-9. And now Heat just bring it back immediately, which puts them in a really awkward position, not only economically, but also just kind of in this, you know, they got to that double digits. And I mean, we've seen a team come back from 6-10 to win in unexpected fashion in Kova versus Finest yesterday. But can we see it again? Mishu brings out the Ares to try and displace Waddle, and I think Waddle is going to give him a talking to in chat there. I think that's what that was. Breaking the Aljo in there with a shock dart, or I think the shock dart actually hit Mishu. That's where that went. Kinguyan is putting up so much damage now, though. It took him a second to warm up. He's definitely putting up those numbers now. Monstrum making sure that nobody gets in through tree whatsoever. Heat holding on to this one perfectly. They're keeping their momentum completely in check.
Hello, that's nasty. Using the dark cover to disguise the Seize ability. Hookahs don't actually push into the smoke, so no one gets caught out. Monstrum not finding a pick, but still finding a lot of delay. 56 seconds left. Spike still headed towards the A site. Prowler's making sure, though, they know the only space that Hookahs is in control of, the only way that they can approach this site, it's from A main. And look at the crossfire that's set up in place if they even need to rely on it. Kingyuan's still there. Not quite displaced, location revealed, but the boom pot's up and about, making sure that even though they know where the race is, Hookahs still can't push in.
Yeah.
30 seconds left.
Yeah, I think Akimbo definitely just does not want to go anywhere. Mishu's going, man, come on. You're the duelist. Do something.
Spike down A. I have the spike.
Oh, no. Oh. That is the kind of moment you dream of, right? You go into ranked and you're like, guys, watch this. You're the last player alive. You turn around the corner and you just tap randomly at a space. Perfect headshot. Amazing.
Well, see, the thing is, it's not even random.
Please zoom in
because
slow-mo.
the terror trail attaches,
Oh, yeah.
so they know. Right, there we go, there's the slow-mo.
Oh, God. Can we just
Yeah, so
replay
the
that for the
terror
rest of the game, actually? Can we just keep getting that on repeat? You know, like, that was just...
I think...
I'm more
I
interested
think
in
that's
that.
one that,
Thanks
that
very
Mishu
much,
might
yeah.
want to-
Oh, God! Oh!
Spike down
Oh,
A.
it's beautiful. Okay, sorry, I just need to get that out. Need to get that out. Okay.
Polaris squads, you know, they make us happy. This is why people in chat say casters start game Twiggy. We have too much power.
Oh, no, Adam Eccles has more of the power. He's down to 30 HP, but he's got 2 kills, and both of them were through the edge of the wall. And now King Guyan's holding this down again. The showstopper comes out from both of them. King Guyan gets the first one. Akimbo says, not without me getting involved here. Prowler hits down Akimbo. He's stuck in the corner, but the spike is going to go down from Masked. They can still take this round. It's a 2v4, but if you get in a nice location, they don't have time to go anywhere. Never mind. They're both stuck on site. The Aldrone is going to come out. It's going to see at least one of them. I do now know Master. Oh, there it is. There's a seize.
Yeah.
Oh, no way. No way. Do they not check that corner? Oh, he just about get away with it, but that could have been disastrous.
The seize was there!
This it never fails to surprise me, this game.
Oh my goodness, Heat take themselves to match point. It's a close one, especially with the spray that Akimbo was able to pull off in that corner, surviving far too long, getting too many picks. The problem is that Heat have won so many of these rounds that their economy is so strong at the moment.
Yeah. You know, I honestly thought we were just going to go back to the replay of the headshot for a second there. I was like, no, it can't. He doesn't still have that queued up. It's all good. No, we're all good.
Do you know what? Prod will just, you know, lean into your fantasies and play that on replay when we go to break between map 1 and map 2.
The whole time. 5 minutes of that, solid. I'd love that. That'd be amazing. Well, who cars have a one last chance here? Who chance have one last car to try and retake this one? Luckily, Heat not playing on site for this. They're going to try and 5v5 retake, which gives Hookahs the opening. Mishu, oh my god! Well, they weren't looking, but they do manage to get away with a kill no matter what. Good thing there were 2 people there. Otherwise, I think Mishu would have had easy pickings going forward there, but they can now just move in, and Monstrum does so much damage. Out come all the ults, and they can just walk in. No stopping power whatsoever. Heat come away with it, and they will take the map 13-6. What a brilliant second half.
Yeah, I feel like when you're taking Heat to Ascent, you have to be expecting this Fade to come on through, and you could really tell that Hookahs were just not prepared for that Fade pick to come on out. In the first half, it does seem like they're really on top of things. They're punishing the fact that their opponents aren't running that initiator. They're able to put their chamber into some really punishing positions and get a whole lot of reward for very little threat and punishment. The problem is that then the side swap comes through. And he just looks so strong. Able to come on with that Fade, getting a lot of information, tethering Hookahs, slowing these rounds down, so all of that tempo, the momentum that Hookahs are having to build up with, because they're running the KO, but we never really see the flashes be that opening. It's always on Akimbo to be able to move in and press forward, and while yes, that race has a lot of movement potential, the Fade just entirely counters all of that, and if it wasn't the Seize, it was the Nano Swarms coming out, making sure that they just weren't able to move an inch.
Yeah, I really do think these were 2 evenly matched teams. It's just that you have to remember that every game is a tale of 2 halves, and Heat were really well better prepared for that defensive half. Not, you know, in the way that they, you know, had a better comp for it or anything like that. It's just that they really... Oh, my... Sorry, yeah, I actually need to... Oh my god, I need to calm down a little bit, my heart rate. It's just this kind of thing that, you know, Heat were definitely more prepared strategically for that defensive half, and you can... Oh, 301 ACS for REMOY, and that's not even the end of it. Eccles with 272, and you can see they really deserve that win here.
Yeah, absolutely amazing to get to see as well. 301 ACS from the Sentinel player. And it wasn't even flanks coming out from the Sentinel, right? It was just really smart heads-up play, bouncing synergy off of Fade, knowing that you have a lot of time to be able to reposition, so you didn't have to worry about being caught out by fakes, which was something that we actually saw Heat really lean into on their attack. They were the ones who used that lockdown to try and pull Hukaz's attention away. We didn't really see that from Hukaz. They would try to poke and pressure a little bit at the early round, see whether or not that would bait Heat into movement. But again, just coming in with a lot of these Sentinel players, getting the information, having the Terror Trail, with the Haunt that you can just set up to drop into one of those areas and get to see whether there are players who are actually there and you need to move and give up that better positioning, or whether you can just sit pretty because it is just smoke and mirrors, really was their undoing.
Yeah, well, he come away with that map in a fashion that I really did not see coming after that first half. Both teams really getting their playstyles on the board quite quickly. Now Hukaz are going to have to try and respond to that on our second map here. I believe we're heading into Bind next. And so we'll be able to see exactly what Hukaz can come up with this on this one, because they are definitely a team that can bring this back, but Heat look a bit like an unstoppable force after that second half. I'll have to see exactly what they try and come up with against each other. I'm looking forward to seeing these two teams at each other's throats for another, hour or so. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back very shortly with our second map.
I'm Monstrum from HEET. I play the flex role for my team.
My nickname is Element and I'm head coach for HEET Gaming.
When we got to the promotional qualifiers, we saw that we still had the potential to win that too. So it was a pretty smooth run for us, I think. And I think we've just started playing with Eccles, and I feel like we're not even 20% of what we could be, to be honest. So it was a pretty smooth run considering everything.
Since Caesar, me and Caesar, we are coming on 8 Gaming. It's like the team is really good now. They have a lot of potential. To be honest, for me, this 5 can become the 5 of tomorrow. And we are working hard for that happens.
I think we could do really well playing against other teams in Polaris. There's a lot of challenging teams in there, like XL and Alliance, but not teams that are out of our reach. They're definitely teams that we'd have to put up a good fight against. I think we have the potential to beat them. If we play well, and I think we will. I think we're going to have a good time.
I have a great feeling for the future. The objective is top 1 in EMEA. We will see, but for the moment we focus only on Polaris.
I think we'll work a cohesive unit, but Waddle is can perform really well. He can pop off. He's in the same player. So definitely look out for Waddle.
My team is ranked individually. It's obvious. We need to be perfect for the next. If we want to reach the top, we have to not make the same mistakes. And from my perspective, we are close to the goals.
Our goals for the team would be to perform really well in the group stage and to potentially win it. I feel like we have that potential, like I said before. So that would be the goal in Polaris is just to win it, is to win the whole thing. But as a team, I think it's to just improve day by day, because we've spent only about a week together with this full roster, and we're improving day by day, and there's no stopping us at this point.